This is an article from JedVaita.com. A link to the original article is in the description to this video. It is read using text-to-speech software. The Unutterable, Awesomeness of Being, by McKenna. That God became man indicates only this, that man should not seek his salvation in eternity, but rather establish his heaven on earth. Friedrich Nietzsche. It is painfully obvious, yet bears frequent repeating, that our so-called reality, the dream state and everything in it, is a complete and utter crock of shit. Reality is not real. It doesn't actually exist. It's literally all in the mind. I don't mean to cast our fake-ass reality in a negative light. I'm just stating a very simple fact, which is that everything in a dream is a dream, and all the apparent stuff, time, space, energy, and matter, is dream stuff. That's what non-duality means. What's more, we're not just in a hoax, we're in a hoax within a hoax, a dream within a dream. And what's even more, there may be many more distorting, degrading, and diminishing layers separating us from the truth, not just the few we can readily see. Every step on the journey of awakening represents the overcoming of the next layer. Happily, unseen layers qualify as knowably unknowable, and therefore irrelevant. Anytime you determine that something is knowably unknowable, which most things in the dream state are that, or knowably false, you can just leave it alone and never give it another thought, which is a mind-cleansing thing to do. Examples of knowably unknowable and knowably false subjects are free will, other minds, simulation theories, and gas station hot dogs. Cleanliness of mind is next to godliness of mind, which is to say, God-mind. So it's good to practice regular mental hygiene and keep a tidy mind. You never know when you might need it for something. The outer visible hoax forms a cosmetic narrative layer, and the inner hoax is the underlying structural layer over which the narrative is draped like a curtain. Why? Who knows? Who cares? The herd has a peculiar elite, priestcraft, peasantry hierarchy, which is a little silly since to be in the herd is to be of the herd, so there's really no upper or lower anything. You have your shit to deal with and I have mine. I have less though because I'm enlightened and you're just regular. Serious people don't have the luxury of concerning themselves with OPS, other people's shit, even when those other people are the oppressing and downtrodden elite. The point of knowing you're living inside a giant bullshit factory is not to throw on the lights and expose it to an unsuspecting world, but simply to know where you are, how it works, and how best to proceed. Deal with your own shit, and the rest will sort itself out. As Master de Mello teaches us, it is easier to protect your feet with slippers than to carpet the whole of the earth. We, alleged humans, are very precisely crafted to fulfill our roles in this dramatic production, both as participants and as beholders. That doesn't just randomly occur over countless billions of years, as we evolve from nothing to single-cell organisms, to walking fish, to swinging monkeys, to noble and upright masters of the universe. Nor does it explode out of nothingness into somethingness and eventual everythingness. Seriously, what can't science get us to believe? It only happens in universal mind, the perfect intelligence of infinite consciousness. But without the dream state, mind is nothing. It has no qualities or features, and nothing to behold, because nothing but itself exists. The universe is both necessary and impossible, ergo dream state. Here in the dream state, either everything is real or nothing is real, depending on our definition of real. Although the journey of awakening takes place in the dream state itself doesn't really concern us. You, Advaitin, don't have to make sense of it. You just have to understand it on an as-needed basis in order to take your next step. Again, this goes toward keeping a tidy mind. Maybe your heart and mind are bubbling cauldrons of thoughts and feelings and beliefs. But so what? Get rid of all that heart-mind jibber-jabber. You can't take it with you, and the way to leave it behind is to generate fuel which results in heat, which results in the burning away of all nonsense and non-essentials. The fuel you accumulate now will determine how far your journey takes you. Maybe you'll generate an abundance of fuel and go all the way, or maybe you'll generate no fuel and go nowhere. You won't hate going nowhere though, because the hate you're not experiencing would have supplied your missing fuel. Rest assured, the fuel you acquire and the distance you go will be perfectly correct, and have little or nothing to do with your effort, dedication, or desire. So try not to take the awakening process too personally. Neither resist nor assist. Do your part to fill your tanks, but once the rockets ignite, it's out of your hands. Just sit back and allow the all-pervading rightness to unfold, or explode. During the fueling stage, hatred and contempt, mostly for your false self, are the highest spiritual values to which you can aspire. You want that white-hot steel splinter in your brain. You want to step into that furnace. You want to slip into that acid bath, again and again. Dark emotion should be cultivated, nurtured, and amplified. Hard to believe, I know. But there it is. As those who think for themselves can see for themselves. I myself didn't come at this from a spiritual angle, so I never had to wrestle with the taboo against negative emotions. Love, compassion, tolerance, and bliss seemed as irrelevant to me then as they do now, and I never had any trouble generating fuel. I was on fire from the start, and couldn't believe everyone wasn't similarly inflamed. Narrative is what we're told and sold and what we like to believe, versus the underlying reality, which is what's really going on. The dream state itself is a top-level hoax, but all the hoaxes nested within it are just part of the theatrical intrigue for which we humble hurdlings must be grateful, despite so often being targets and victims of it. No drama, no dream state. No dream state. No you. The point of talking about this is to aid you in the process of reality demolition and self-immolation, which is, one assumes, why you're here. To awaken from dream state delusion, you must venture into your own interior and cut away anything that can be cut away and burn whatever burns, all parts of the false self. This is the war we must wage on ourselves, as Krishna explains to Arjuna in the Gita. Everything must go, and, now or later, everything will go. In the end, we're all enlightened. I just arrived early to light the candles and spike the punch. I'd like to emphasize that when I say the dream state is a hoax, people are children, reality is a delusion, and life has no meaning. I don't mean it in a bad way. Sometimes I talk about Maya being an enemy, but except within the context of escaping her clutches, I don't wish to cast her in a less than flattering light. Whenever I sound like I'm not a huge fan of bovine humanity, or dopey-ass love, or fishbowl philosophies, or go-nowhere spirituality, or any of many other aspects of this clumsy theatrical production, I'm speaking within the context of awakening in it, or from it. Outside of that limited context, I am the #1 fan of Maya, and the dream state, and this whole crazy dream state reality. Sure, it's a fraud, but it's a good fraud, and necessary. This alleged place and every alleged thing in it is unutterably awesome, greatest and least alike, and I am dumbstruck with awe many times a day as I'm reminded what infinite intelligence really means. I don't have to go out and look up on starry nights to achieve peak wonder. Everything is equally worthy. Not just the big flashy stuff, but all the stuff. A strand of hair, human creativity, productivity and ingenuity, the dead moth on my windowsill, the gaze of my dog, the flow of water, the dancing flame of a candle. Even the state of wonder itself is an unspeakable miracle, a fact not diminished and even enhanced by the fact that, technically, none of it is real. I can't list everything that's mind-blowing because it's literally everything, including a blown mind, and yet, none of these things actually exist, which is pretty mind-blowing as well. None of this is real. Reality is knowably false, and yet, here we are. Well, me, anyway. Everything is pure intelligence and nothing else. You, me, dietary fiber, mold, Yosemite Sam, planets, air, your shirt, everything. All appearance, intelligence, emotion, and belief is the dream of the God mind. That's all, nothing else. You, me, emotion, war, dreams, disease, memory, every single thing is not a thing at all but a thought. And it's not a zillion different thoughts, but one great big one that looks like a lot of little ones. It doesn't matter if something exists by common reckoning. For instance, goldfish are real and leprechauns aren't, because here in the dream state, whatever exists in your personal reality is just as real as anything else. Don't let the science dorks tell you differently. Personal reality is the only reality. Our purpose in all this, the point of us, is that we see many where there is one, We see positive and negative where all is neutral. We see division where there's only unity. We see complexity where only ultimate simplicity exists. We see imperfection where none can be. We see randomness and chaos that do not otherwise exist. We don't see the forest for the trees. We are the fine-tuned beholders. Lenses precisely ground to focus at a very specific Goldilocks distance. Not too near, not too far. Because that's the only distance at which the whole thing at least seems to make sense. Everything closer and farther falls out of focus. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired that nameless grace. We don't exist in our own right, as we're meant to believe. We exist as both players and beholders of the play. We are capable of suspending disbelief, which is the missing ingredient that gets this clunky theatrical production off the ground and transforms it into a full-bodied, meaning-rich, classy-ass illusion. We are the factor that completes the equation. We are what allows the dream state to do what it must do. I'm not trying to tell you what is in the hopes that, if you hear it enough, you'll start to believe it. I'm telling you what's not, so you can generate the accelerant necessary to get the fire going, to burn the theater down, and see what's left when it's gone. My barn having burned to the ground, I can now see the moon. My feeling is that you should be burning with righteous indignation of sufficient intensity to reduce your personal dream state bubble to ash. Only then can you stop seeing what's not and start seeing what is. I know all the sweetness and light gurus and sages and priests tell a different tale, but I'm not in their club so I can tell the truth, and you can think so you can see. Stated plainly, nothing exists except the perfect intelligence of infinite consciousness. Things are thoughts, and thoughts are things. That's why we are all able, to one degree or another, to manifest and navigate and exercise higher knowing and effortless doing and all that jazz. All is mind and we are it, and it is us. Atman is Brahman and that thou art. It's all a miracle, every damn bit of it.